Welcome back to our YouTube channel. In this video, I am going to cover everything credit card. We're going to add a new credit card to QuickBooks, and we're going to reconcile the credit card and talk about everything in between. On the left side of the screen is a sample credit card statement that we'll be using, and on the right side is a brand new QuickBooks account. When you have a new account, whether it's a credit card or a bank account, the best way to add it to QuickBooks is to connect the live bank feed. And to do that, you would come over to the Banking tab and click the Connect Account button. Now, this is the view that you'll have if it's the very first account that you're connecting. Once you've connected an account, the way to connect a second account is a little bit different. The buttons moved around, but the steps are the same. So you would click on Connect Account, and you would search for the name of your bank, or click on it if you see it in this list, and the system would then ask you for your bank username and password. And depending on the bank security features, it might ask you one of your security questions, and it might send a code to your phone. But once you're signed in, it will ask what date you want to pull transactions in from, and then it will bring them all over, and you can then begin categorizing. Some banks don't support this, especially some smaller credit unions, so I also want to show the way to import transactions manually. You have this button right here. Again, the button would be in a different place if we already had a connected account. But if you have a CSV Excel file from your bank website, you can upload it directly into QuickBooks. To do that, you would just click Upload Transactions, have your file somewhere on your computer, and drag and drop it onto the screen, and then click Continue. At this point, you have to choose where the transaction should be uploaded to. I see a lot of people mess up at this stage because they will add a brand new account when the account was already existing in QuickBooks. So sometimes the bank feed will break for some reason, or the bank will stop supporting the sync and you'll have to upload something. And if that's the case, make sure you find in this drop-down box the account if it already exists. In this case, it's a brand new QuickBooks account, so we're going to go ahead and create the account. So I'll click on Add New. The account type is very important. I also see people making new account types because they have a new expense they want to categorize, and they ignore this field and just leave it as the default bank. And so then when I go and look at their reports, there's a bunch of expense accounts set up as banks. So always make sure you pick the correct account type. In this case, we're doing a credit card. The detail type is less important. Honestly, I usually don't change anything about the detail type. One thing that is good is it gives you this little gray box of the description, so if you're not sure what type of an account you need to make, you can click on a few different ones, and it will show you kind of descriptions of what these different types of accounts are. So you can kind of read those for some help if you need to. But we're making a credit card account at this point. If you have multiple accounts, I like to include the last 4 digits of the card number in the name of the card. This sub-account box is helpful when setting up a credit card where there are multiple cardholders. So if you are a business and you have employees with cards on your account, you would want to set up one credit card parent account and connect nothing to it. And then you would want to connect the bank feed to each individual sub-account. So each sub-account would be the employee's individual cards. But in this case, it's just a single credit card, so we'll just create one account for it, and we'll click Save and Close. And here we'll click continue because we were in the process of uploading our bank data file. This is just some questions about your data file. So if you haven't done this before, you might have to go back and edit your file after reading these questions if you realize you didn't set it up properly. But it's asking, is there a header row? That just means the top row in your file needs to have titles of what's in that column. So a date column, a description column. So I've done that. So yes, for header row. How many columns show amounts? I have 2 in mine. I have payments and credits in one column, and then I have charges in another column. Some bank data files only use one column and they use positive, negative numbers. In my case, I've split them into 2 columns. And the date format, month, day, year. And here in this box, we're mapping the QuickBooks fields to the names of the titles in our Excel document. So I have a column in my Excel document titled date, and that's going to obviously match to the QuickBooks date field. Description, that's the one that matches for me. And then amount, money coming in, money going out. And that's it. Click continue. You get a review opportunity here to make sure everything looks right. If there were any errors, any reason that it couldn't import the data, there would be red exclamation points by those transactions that were going to fail. Click this top box that will check everything since we want to import everything, and we'll click continue. It's telling us it's going to import 22 transactions. Click yes, click done, and we're done. The bank feed is now established for this credit card. We didn't log in with our username and password, so this is, in this case, this is something we would have to do monthly, this upload, to get the new data in here. But we are good to reconcile our account now. I will point out, I did show you how to link and upload for the very first time, but once you have an account, you see those connect and upload buttons are gone. So if you need to add a second account, you'll have to come here into the top right corner and you can click link account. This will take you back to the selection screen to pick your bank. And if you click this little down arrow, you have upload from file, which is where we just were dragging and dropping our Excel file. So now that we are done uploading, we have all of our data here. And there's only 22 transactions. But if there's more, it's helpful to filter this area a little bit. And one way to do that is by date. You can click on the word date once, twice, and it will filter the dates from most recent to least recent. Amounts as well, you can always filter smallest amount to largest amount in both the spent and the received columns, which can just help make the process go faster, especially if you've let several months go by without reconciling, without categorizing. Those might help you. And then also here, a description box. You can search this data below by typing in that box and just clicking enter. So I've covered this in other videos, but briefly, how to clear out the bank feed. Just click on the row and it will pop out more information for you. In this case, we have a credit, we have a refund of the prior transaction. Down here's the charge, and so that's the refund of it. So to categorize this, it's going to suggest a new vendor. So you can click on these blue words if you like that name. Otherwise, you can just start typing a name of your own. I'll just take their suggestion. We want to make sure it is creating a vendor, not a customer. And then we'll just click Save. Category, this is travel. If they don't have the name of the account that you want, just start typing it and you can add it on the fly. Again, it's not a bank account. This one's going to be an expense account, so pick expense. Again, I really don't change the detail type. You can come down here and pick travel if you want to. And then you have the name of the account here. Description, again, I usually leave that blank. Subaccount could work in this situation as well. If you wish to keep track of your travel expenses by categories of airfare, hotel, etc., you could set those up as subaccounts of travel. So first you would create the travel account like this. Without checking that box, you'd hit save and close. And then you would create a second expense account. Again, picking the right category. And in this case, you would click is a subaccount of travel. So we'll just save that, and we will do the same for this reimbursement of the expense. Same category. And we'll just quickly go down the line here. This is a brand new QuickBooks account, so we do need to enter in some of these accounts as we're going. I would always recommend you enter in the vendor name. That's very helpful when trying to figure out how much you paid a certain vendor, so you can do a 1099 for them, or just so you can see how good of a customer you are of this business to maybe talk to them about some type of the volume discount. So I always recommend putting in the vendor name. I'm going to skip that step just to speed this process up. And I'm also going to point out this green word here. When QuickBooks has something in green, it's a suggestion based on something you've done in the past. So it's recognizing based on this bank detail language, it's recognizing that this might belong in our air travel account. If we agree, we can just go ahead and click Add. I'll do 2 more of these just to identify another feature. When you do things a few times in QuickBooks, it will catch on, and it will let you make a rule to speed things up in the future. So I'm categorizing this transaction as dues, and as you can see, a bunch of these have just popped in. QuickBooks, based on the description, is recognizing a potential vendor and a potential category. So I'm just going to go ahead and click Add on that second one, and then here's the pop-up that I was alluding to. Because we've done something twice, QuickBooks is suggesting that maybe we want to always do this. So do I always want this description from the bank to be categorized as payee e-file and category dues? Yes, I do. I like to uncheck this because it still lets me look at it one more time just to make sure that technology is categorizing correctly. So I'll uncheck that and I'll click Create the Rule. And as you can see, we now have these green rectangles for rules throughout our bank feed, which just lets me quickly click Add on these without paying too much attention, because QuickBooks is telling me it is pretty confident in what it's doing. I do still glance at it. That's why I didn't click that Auto Add button, but it does let me get through it a lot faster. For purposes of this demonstration, I am just going to clear these out and put them into uncategorized expense. I'm doing this to move along quickly. I never recommend putting something in uncategorized expense, but I want to get on to reconciling. Once you are all done and your bank feed is all caught up, it is time to reconcile your account when you get that PDF statement from your bank that we have here on the left side of the screen. There's a lot of different ways to get to the reconciling screen. If you're in the bank feed, you can click on these blue words, Go to the Bank Register, and then you can click the green button, Reconcile. You can also, from anywhere in QuickBooks, go to the gear icon and click on Reconcile. You will want to pick the correct account from this drop-down box, so we'll pick our credit card account. And now we're ready to begin. Beginning balance needs to always match your bank statement. If it doesn't, you need to stop and figure out what happened. Typically, a transaction was manually reconciled or deleted after the reconciliation was completed, but you want to make sure that the beginning balance matches what the statement says. So in this case, they're both 0. That's good. Ending balance, we're going to take right off of our credit card statement and just type it in. And ending date, we are also just going to pull right off of the statement. Here it's closing date of January 18th in this case. And we'll click Start Reconciling. If you keep your bank feed clear, QuickBooks will practically do the reconciliation for you, which in this case it has. I'll just go through this screen. The ending balance again is in this top left corner. It does match our bank statement. The beginning balance again 0. It does match our bank statement. Charges will match your bank statement where it says purchases. Payments will match your bank statement. And these are two areas that are useful to look at if you have a reconciling difference and can't quite figure it out because you have a lot of transactions. Again, there's only 20 here, but if you had a lot more, you would need to figure out the difference if this was not 0. So 0 here is the goal. If it's not 0, you have to figure out what's wrong. And one way to narrow that down is to look at these numbers up here and see, okay, is the problem with the payments or is the problem with the deposits? If I was looking at this number and I saw it was 3776 and it's supposed to be 3825, well, I would know, okay, something's wrong with the charges. And then I could filter even more by clicking on this charges button, and it will just show me the charges. Or the problem was with the payments, I could click over on payments and it would only show me the payments. So it's helping filter out some of the transactions to make the view a little bit easier. Again, you can sort by date by clicking on the word date in the column header. Click again and it will flip them in the other direction. Same thing with the amounts. You can filter smallest to largest or largest to smallest, whatever is going to make it easier for you to do your reconciliation. If it doesn't do it for you, if it doesn't automatically go to 0 when you click Begin Reconciling, you'll have to compare what is in QuickBooks with your bank statement. So I changed the screen on the left. This is the detail section of our bank statement. And so what we would need to do is go through one by one and check off what we see on the statement in QuickBooks. So a quick example of that. The first transaction on the list is a negative number, so that means it's a credit, and it would be in the payment section. So that one is right here. The second one on the list, I see $49, so I would look in my list. Do I have $49? I do. It's right here. Google for $6.49. Do I have that? Yes, I do. It's right here. And I would go through the list, checking things off one at a time until they were all checked off, and my difference at the top is 0. If you do have a $0 difference and you still have something in the list that is not checked off, that's something to investigate. Why is it not checked off? Is it a duplicate? Is it entered in twice? If you're doing a checking account, is it a check that hasn't cleared for a long time? So anything that's not checked off, if you do have a $0 difference, it's time to figure out why that still is there. But that's it. This credit card account is reconciled. Click on Finish Now to complete the process. And you're good to go. That last screen that I glanced over was asking if I wanted to enter a bill in to pay this $28.16 amount of the credit card bill. And I usually skip over that like I did. I usually click no. If that's your process to enter in a bill for the amount, you can use that shortcut. Typically, since I pay the credit card on the bank website or the bank app, I will simply come up to record a transfer. So to do that, to pay off the card, I would click plus new, transfer, and I would pick from my checking account to the credit card, and I would type in the amount that I want to pay, whether it's a partial amount or the full amount, and the date of the payment. So I usually use that screen to record credit card payments, not the pop-up that I skipped over a moment ago. So that is Credit Card 101, from adding your account to reconciling your account. If there's any other questions you have about credit cards in QuickBooks Online, please put them in the comments or reach out to us. I'd be happy to make another video or answer your questions. Our website is swedaconsulting.com. If there's any bookkeeping or tax needs that we can help you with, we look forward to hearing from you. Thanks for watching.